my right side of my face was completely drooping, and I was slurring, and I could barely talk correctly. And the lady, I remember the nurse, when in the intake, stooped down in front of me and she says, "Okay, this is going to be really scary, but I don't want you to be scared." And she ended up calling a stroke alert on me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Benefits, a new podcast exploring flaws in our healthcare system and the people fighting to fix them. I'm Carly, your host this season, and this is our last episode for season 1, which is wild to think about. If you're just joining us, please don't forget to go back and check out our previous episodes and subscribe so that you're notified when we come back for season 2. We've got a very, very special story for you today, and something a little different than our first 5 episodes. And we're really going to be chatting with 2 people that I simply adore, so I can't wait for us to dive in. But first and foremost, hello, Chris. Happy to have you here
Hey,
with me today.
how are you, Carly?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm ready to rock and roll. This is a fun
Ready
one
to rock
today.
and roll.
What's exciting about today is it's a bit of a spin on kind of the stories we've covered so far, right? It's really we hire such great people at Quantum Health that are, empathetic first, take care of everyone else before themselves, kind of doers here at Quantum. And I think what's exciting about today is we're going to look at what happens when a care coordinator suddenly becomes a person needing care themselves. And our guest, Christa, works at Quantum. She's passionate about her job. She loves guiding and advocating for others. But when her healthcare took a kind of scary twist, she needed to switch roles and become the one who actually needs the support.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful that we have that opportunity for our care coordinators. We call our pod the Warrior Pod. So we actually have care coordinators who help support their peers, essentially. So we're also going to look at the way an entire team really stepped in to support Christa. We'll be joined by Karien. And while Karien did amazing things, to help support Christa, she was helped with, a whole pod of individuals that were willing and able to step up and support Christa through her journey, which is really amazing when you think about just the cohesive team that is all kind of playing a part in making sure that someone is supported and heard and understood. So I'm really excited to jump in.
Well, and as we always do, I have an exciting stat to share with us today. But um, in preparation for this, it kind of reminded me of our founding research, right? Typical journey lasts 11 months. You see 5 to 7 different providers. You have up to 35 different claims. And our stat kind of falls in line with that guidance, in that the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality said that when care gets complicated, a single patient may interact with more than 30 healthcare professionals in 1 year. It's bonkers, right? So
Wild.
many people.
Mm-hmm.
And you think of
Yeah.
it like nurses, your primary care physicians, and you go to your specialists. You have case managers throughout that, therapists, insurance representatives. The list gets pretty big pretty quickly. And so it makes sense, but it is really daunting to think about. And that's a lot to tackle when you're focused on taking care of yourself first and your own health, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's also the beauty of quantum health, is that we are the ones who say, just give it to us and we'll take care of it while you focus on you and getting better and being healthy. So without further ado, our beautiful guest today, we are joined by Christa Weitzel and one of our many quantum health warriors in our warrior pod, Karien Fritz. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hey.
Nice to
Hi,
see
Karen. Hi,
you. We're so
Christa.
happy you're
Thanks for
here.
having us.
Absolutely. So we're just going to dive right in. Okay. Christa, we're going to start with you. So before we dive into the healthcare journey, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been a care coordinator at Quantum Health, and also what you enjoy outside of work.
Well, thank you. I've been at Quantum for a little over 7 years. Actually, Karien was one of my
Wow.
trainers when I came
Mhm.
up, and Carly, you were actually one of the managers for my sister pod when I
Mhm.
started. So we're very well acquainted.
Yeah.
Been around part of the woodwork for a long, long time. I really love working at Quantum. Outside of work, I've been married for 15 years. I've got 2 cats, Tonks and Lupin. I'm very much into gaming and stuff like that. And yeah, I also I love being a part of Quantum. directly as well. I've been here for 7 years. Something that I really love about us is that we definitely lead with our heart in everything that we do. And a really good example of that is a sign that we used to have on our front door, but now it's a big, huge one in our first floor. Is called the Warrior Creed.
Mm.
And it goes, I am your healthcare warrior. I will take you by the hand. I will walk with you through every step of this journey, no matter where it leads. I will protect you and fight for you. I will be your friend. You are not alone. I am your healthcare warrior. It's something that I really carry not only in my personal life, but in my professional life, because everybody deserves to have somebody step up and be there. And that's what I want to do for my members every single day. And that's why I love my job.
Mhm.
So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing our warrior creed too. Every time I hear that, it honestly gives me chills because it really is, the what we live by here every single day. So thank you for
It
sharing
means a lot
that.
to our culture, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
really does.
I have a lot of questions about the name of your cats. You say Tonks? Is that
Tonks and Lupin. Tonks and Lupin are characters from Harry Potter.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Yep.
big Potter fan. I am a Hufflepuff. If you
Oh,
guys are into the
okay.
Yeah.
I won't give my
More of a
house away.
Gryffindor.
Okay, I won't do it.
But yeah, they are my pride and joy. I have no children, so that's
Yeah.
definitely my babies.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really fun. I'm reading that right now with my kids, but I guess I should get us back on track. It sounded like you you kind of switched roles here, right? You were spending all day helping others navigate the complexity of the healthcare system, and then one day you became the one that needed help. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened in your healthcare journey that led to that point?
Yeah. So essentially I was having these really bad headaches and I was having dizziness and like shortness of breath. And I have other health conditions. So I just was like considering it a flare up of the other conditions. I was like, it's no big deal. I can power through. And I'm stubborn as the day is long. So I was like, I'm just going to push on through. I'm going to be okay. Other people might not have pushed as hard as I would. But kind of one day it all came to a head. And I remember being at my desk and like head in my hands, just completely done for the day. And we were only to 10:30 in the morning. And one of my nurse friends that sat behind me was like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Because I'm not usually the one to complain about stuff. And she was like, why don't you go lay down? We have like little pods that we can sit down and lay down in. And the minute I laid down, it felt like my head was about to explode. I literally didn't think I could contain my brain inside my skull. And so she came back over. Things kind of moved really fast from there. We ended up calling an ambulance, and I ended up getting rushed over to the hospital near us, OSU. And they rushed me right back and ended up doing something called an MRA, which is an MRI but shows the vessels in your head. And in the MRA, it's supposed to light up like a Christmas tree. Yeah, mine didn't look like
Not so
that.
much.
It was
Really?
pretty dark. They ended up diagnosing me with something called transverse venous sinus thrombosis, which is a very, very, very big word for a rare type of stroke. I ended up having not one, but two clots in my transverse vein, which is pretty much the draining part of your brain that goes back into your system.
So
And
you're is this headache happening during all this too? Like you're getting rushed in the ambulance,
yeah.
having this MRA done, and your head is still pounding. Like, are you able to process what's happening during all this?
No, I really couldn't. I've even told my friends, I felt like it was happening to somebody else. So I was very much outside of my body through the whole entire thing. I remember discording with friends and like sending pictures, and we got a hold of the MRA picture and I sent it to my best friend, and she's like, let me look up a normal picture of a normal brain just so you can kind of get the idea of Christa, this is really happening to you. Stop giggling. This is not an okay thing to be going on right now. And because it didn't hit me exactly what was going on. I was just in a lot of pain. I had sunglasses on and lights were really, really bad and the sound was really, really bad, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal directly. And they ended up putting me on blood thinners in the hospital. And they ended up sending me home. So that only solidified well, if they can send me home, I must be okay, right? No, no. About a week later, I ended up having really, really bad symptoms again. And I was working from home because I'd gone back to work because I was like, I'm not going to miss any more work over this silly thing. And my dad and my husband rushed me back over to OSU, and my right side of my face was completely drooping, and I was slurring, and I could barely talk correctly. And the lady, I remember the nurse when in the intake stooped down in front of me and she says, "Okay, this is going to be really scary, but I don't want you to be scared." And she ended up calling a stroke alert on me. And they zoomed me out. My husband, I've been married for 15 years. I've never seen him cry. He ended up going out in the lobby out into the parking lot because he broke down crying. And he called his mom, and his mom had to be there for him in that moment. And I felt so bad, but you never really realize what a stroke alert is like. They just zoom you back and throw you on a CT scanner and check everything. And thankfully, there was no damage or anything like that. Everything had pretty much stayed the same, but the clot wasn't dissolving as fast as they wanted it to dissolve. So they ended up admitting me as a result.
Wow.
So,
And
yeah.
I can't imagine, Krista, how just terrifying all of that was. Even feeling like you were kind of like outside of your body, looking down at yourself. That in and of itself is terrifying. So I'm glad that you recognized, it was time to go back to the hospital. But when did you first know that you needed some additional support, which ultimately led you to reach out to the Warrior Pod?
Yeah. When I came home after the second time directly, I could not work. Like they pretty much had me really medicated through the second the week-long hospital stay.
Mhm.
And I couldn't handle any lights. So I was stuck in a dark room and I was scared. Like I felt very, very vulnerable. Like
Oh.
I'm not the type of person to find the negative in a situation, but I was very much losing my spark. As many people know me here at work, I'm very a bubbly person. But what really stands out from those early days was the fear, and I felt like I was completely alone, and I just didn't know what to do. And then I was like, wait, I have a me for me.
You sure do.
Yes, you
I have a
do.
me for me. So I ended up calling up Karien and Bob and the rest of the Warrior Pod, and they did not hesitate. I mean, they found me a provider as fast as possible. They didn't question any intentions. They didn't make any delay, no excuses. It's literally their compassion and their persistence really gave me hope when I was in a horribly dark place, and I can't thank them enough.
Yeah. Well, and I can
Why?
say too, for all of us who were still, working, word travels fast when you care about people. So we knew that you were undergoing your own healthcare journey, and we were asking about you all the time and, making sure that you were okay. So I hope you know that we were all pulling for you from a distance as well, because you're our family. So I'm glad that you finally made that outreach necessary
Thank
for
you.
sure. Yeah, of course.
Well said, Carly. And what a great time to bring in one of my favorite people at Quantum Health, and Karen. She helps lead our Warrior Pod here at Quantum Health. I know you've known Krista for a while, Karen, and I'm sure this was terrifying for you as well to hear what she was going through. Can you tell us a little bit about how you and your team kind of took immediate action to step in and help her?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was a tough one because Krista had been through so much already. And when you get that call and you hear blood clots and you hear stroke and you are just, you got to keep it together yourself because not only is it somebody in the family at Quantum Health, but it's somebody you know. And, Quantum Health has its own bloodline. Nobody else has it, and it runs so deep in our veins. But the great part of having a small team is the communication process, right? So as soon as we heard what was happening with Krista, we identified what was needed. The team's message went out. The PCG nurse was on board right from the get-go because she was an amazing support person for Krista, I know. And it was a matter of you all know what needs to be done. And so one person is like, I'm on it. I'm getting clinicals. Another person saw the clinicals coming first because we all get that information at the same time. So if Bob's at lunch, Bev can see the clinicals came in. She doesn't have to wait for Bob. She's getting him. She's getting that authorization built, and I wanted to be the sanctuary for Krista. Our team was the sanctuary because Krista needed to take care of Krista and she needed to let someone else do the work. And it was very intense. But the whole team, not one person, either one person was manning the phones and giving us the time that we needed to take care of her and make sure everything was in place. It was a big deal. And you think you have passion, but when it comes to the Warrior Pod and taking care of our own, that passion is times 10. And, but that's what drives us, right? We have that intentional purpose. And it was all hands on deck. And not one person in this
So
pod did
awesome.
not touch Krista's, her journey. And we were all there with her the whole time.
And you kind of illustrated it a little bit, Karen, in terms of, Bob is a care coordinator. You all, if you've seen our previous episodes, and just like Krista, an individual that's taking those inbound calls and helping to support. Then you have your PCG nurse, which we've also, we had a PCG nurse on episode 1. So you all have, heard what that's like. So just give us kind of some insight, Karen, into, you said it was a smaller team, just what everyone's role was ultimately in helping to support Krista and just kind of paint the picture of what the Warrior Pod structure looks like for those that are listening.
Sure. And, getting the PCG nurse involved right away, that's the first thing because they are experts on something that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And then we chased the clinical and the clinical came in. Bob had already started trying to find a provider for Krista, the neurovascular specialist. And, he reeled me in on that. We were making calls, trying to get her seen sooner. Because I believe, if I remember correctly, your appointment was out too far to begin with. And we
Yeah.
needed to get you seen sooner. And then, the hospital, Bev built the authorizations. And we don't just stop there. It's once that authorization is on file, we're watching it. My team has the responsible freedom to directly reach out to UMR, Optum Care's team, and we don't have to just sit back and wait. And when we reach out to them, they know it's important because we don't reach out unless it is important. So, but the pharmacy issue alone, that, I picked up that from there and we hit roadblock after roadblock on that because there was a prior authorization that was needed, but then there was a threshold. Something hung it up at the pharmacy where they couldn't fill it because somebody at Optum needed to look at it to make sure it was the right code because of the cost of the medication. And I remember calling and emailing my contact directly, like, what is going on? And here it was, the prior authorization was approved, but we needed an override for that dollar amount threshold. So we get that in place, and then we run into the pharmacy after we get it all done. They were out of stock. So now it's all hands on
Goodness.
deck again,
Wow.
and we communicate so well amongst the team so that anybody that's available can pick up the ball and roll with it without even having to think about what the next step is because we know the next step. And that's the beauty of the small team because it's so easy to communicate, collaborate, figure out who's doing what. And we use our teams like, okay, I've got this one. Bob's like, I've got this. You know, who I can't remember who was on the phone at the time. I think, anyway, somebody was, we got the phones. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So it just, it's almost magical when it comes
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
It really
All
is.
hands on deck.
Yep.
Yep.
One with so many balls in the air and so many barriers to care. I mean, you just named three, and
Yeah.
immediate barriers you ran into. You almost need that full team working together as a single unit
Absolutely.
for one.
I couldn't
one individual.
imagine. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine if Krista even had to try and think about any of it. Really.
Yeah.
You know, she had to focus on her. It was not only her health, but the mental side, right? She's used to going and going and going, and now she's dead stopped. And she has to stay down and she has to do what she has to do to heal. So the sanctuary that the Warrior Pod could provide for her was absolutely priceless.
How hard was that for you, Krista? I mean, I assume like you knowing what it takes and what's going on for you to like let go and let Karien and your
Yeah.
teammates and friends take that for you.
Yeah, it was very, very hard because I'm always the one that jumps into the fray for everybody else. Carly can probably tell you this, how many times I've outreached to her and I'm like, I've got this member and it got this huge issue and I know X, Y, and Z. Can you help me on like this part of it? And so being able to have that somebody jump in and do that for me was truly a huge blessing for me, because I literally, I was cuddled up in bed with my cats on top of me with headphones in to block out the noise, and I literally had a little thing over my eyes. Like I couldn't do anything. There's no way I could have done half as many calls as I did
Yeah.
just to talk to somebody, like talk to my PCG nurse or anything like that, let alone call and track down a vascular neurologist that could
Right.
handle this and be able to prescribe my medication, because I was dropped flat, man. I had nobody to prescribe this medication for me, and my PCP couldn't take it over because it was a medication that he'd never really worked with before. And then so I had to find somebody, and I had to find somebody fast and within a month. So
Well, I'm so
Wow.
glad to hear you had Tonks and Lupin cuddling you at home and Karien and the Warrior
Exactly.
Pod taking care of you behind the scenes. So
Oh, love that.
I did want to ask another question though. I mean, you coming from the pod and with all your experience working inside a pod, tell us a little bit about like how you do rely on, you know, the whole group to help with the whole person care and getting the support they need. I mean, what's that look like for you on a day-in-day basis?
yeah, I feel very fortunate to kind of be the front line, the first person to hear that person calling in and stepping into a very vulnerable and often overwhelming chapter of somebody's life is something I really do not take lightly. It's a huge responsibility. But what I love about being in the pod and being a warrior in general is we come with built-in backup. And that's really the beauty of the pod. It's not just a team, it's a safety net in general, from our like supportive management and like our claims team with all of their knowledge, and every single person that like is just there on the day to day. It's not just a job to us. I know there's so many people in the world that could say, "Oh, well, you're just getting paid." No, no, we genuinely want to be the people that make the world a better place. And that kind of commitment for a lot of people is very rare. But I really think that's what makes our team here at Quantum all the more powerful. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. And there's days when stories really hit hard and really close to home. And that's a really big emotional investment for a lot of us. But it's nice that it's something that we all share.
And just listening to you talk just warms my heart, because I can only imagine, I can kind of see the vision of what everyone in the Warrior Pod did when you called. And it's, I'm just envisioning everyone just being like, drop everything. We got to go. We got to do all of these things for Krista. because we're so used to you doing that for our members. We know exactly how you show up every day. So I'm just so glad that someone was there to do the exact same thing for you. And diving a little bit back into your healthcare journey, Krista, I know you didn't get to talk very often, but can you kind of give us some insight into what your conversations were like with your PCG nurse and the things that they helped you through, clinically through this journey?
Yeah, I absolutely love Cynthia, my PCG nurse. She's amazing. I'm, for lack of a better word, a little scatterbrained at times, but it's really nice to have somebody that I can talk to and help align my thoughts with, because it's so hard sometimes, especially with your providers. They literally bill you to the nanosecond for every bit of their time. So it's nice to have somebody that not only knows me, but also knows the health plan and the direction the private provider is trying to go, be able to answer those questions and kind of get an idea of where we're going with things. But as well, like softball my questions too as well. Be like, hey, what should I be asking? What should I be aligning myself with when it comes to this kind of stuff? So it's definitely been quite the blessing. I absolutely love my PCG nurse, and she doesn't just call once or twice. She's there for a very, very long time. She's there for the long haul.
Yeah.
And so it's been really, really nice. And then, like I said, it's a blast having a me for me. So
It is. And you get to see him in the hallway and give him a hug and say, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I wish
yep.
our members could just, come in and visit and we're just all having, family moments. Cause that really does happen. I see Bob, I see Karen, I see Bev, I see everyone downstairs, and it just warms my heart to see them. And I know that they're doing just such incredible work for, our family here at Quantum, in addition to our members who are also family to us. So thank you for sharing that.
What a great testament to the care values and our pillars, right? Stick
Mm.
with them. I mean, what you just described is exactly that. She they're with you the entire ride, right? Like, it's so awesome. And I know we have some big picture questions we want to ask both of you, but before I get there, I should probably ask the most important question of them all. Krista, how are you? How has your health been recently?
I've been doing really good. And this Christmas will actually be a year clot free. So I'm doing really
All
good.
right.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. We're going to jump back to you, Karen. Um, when you think about, what everyone who works at Quantum Health would, we understand the power of the pods, and, we're doing our best to illustrate that for those that are listening for us and, our members who use our care coordinators regularly. But as common with most companies, and I think we all understand this, employees don't always take full advantage of the benefits that they have that are offered to them. So what would you say to someone who has access to the Warrior Pod, but hasn't used it yet?
The biggest thing is make the call, send the chat, get connected. I have so many people that have just called when they're at the point of exhaustion. They've tried to battle something for 2 weeks. They weren't successful. They called. It was handled in an hour. And they're like, why didn't I call sooner? Because they feel like they're navigators. They know what they're doing. But you don't have time. You're busy. That's why we're here. Don't take an hour to spend on your own personal time when maybe you could be with your family or, doing something for you. Give it to us. We'll take care of it. And that's what our team probably has, 25 years of experience between us. I mean, we are put together by design, and we are very intentionally purpose driven just for this. We are here to help our Quantum Health family and their families through anything. And it's just, especially for new hires, you're new to the plan, give us a call. I'm going to call your doctors. I'm going to update your insurance. I'll call your pharmacy. I'll set up home delivery if it's applicable. All you got to do is make one call and let us do the rest.
And she's not lying, y'all. She will do
I-
all of those things. Okay, she will.
It's so genuine.
She'll go to bat for you, I promise. Well, both of you, thank you so much for being here to share your story. And Krista, we're so grateful that you're doing well. I love when I, see you walk. We work on the same floor, so I see you walk in every day. And just so glad that you're doing well. And Karen, thank you for all of your support and everyone on your team and the support that they gave to Christa. It's super, super important. And I'm just so grateful that we have that to offer to not only our members, but, to each other. So thank you both
Thanks,
so
Carlin.
much.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, Chris, two of my favorites. Such a good story.
It's so nice. What a cool, yeah. It's funny when you start working at Quantum, you can just feel the vibe. You make eye contact with people, you're shaking hands, you're giving hugs. Like
Yeah.
it is truly a unique work environment. And
Mm-hmm.
to have one of our own go through something so terrible, but know that they're being so well supported, it is truly special.
It really does mean something. And it's been a wonderful thing to be able to hear so many incredible stories.
Well,
Yeah. And I think you have a big idea to share with us this week.
big idea. Big idea
Mhm.
this week comes from Kristen Wheeler. She's our Senior Vice President of Member Engagement at Quantum Health. And she said, navigating healthcare takes a village. Even those who know the system best need support when the journey turns personal, and that's the power of the pod. This expert team bringing every needed skill to ensure they can stand beside each member every step of the way.
So true.
Really puts a pin in the convo today, doesn't it?
It really does. It really, really does. And I'm just grateful that we get to be a part of that journey, for sure. So thank you so much for sharing that. And as a reminder, if you haven't watched our first 5 episodes, please go back and listen to all of them. Don't forget to like and subscribe, give us a 5-star review, all the good stuff. Make sure that you are ready for us. We're going to be back in 2026 for season 2. We can't wait to come back and share some additional wonderful things with you all next year, which is crazy to think we're almost at the end of 2025. Like, ooh, what's going on?
Okay.
So just make sure in the meantime, you go check out our previous episodes that you've missed. We'll talk to you again in season 2. Chris, it's been a pleasure. And just take care, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us.